among many countries has birthed many unique handicrafts. Tracing back to the Indus Valley civilization, exquisite textiles have been born from the nation. India is not new to luxury. Even the religious texts such as the Mahabharata and the Ramayana describe an opulent lifestyle. The lavish lifestyles of the Maharajas exhibit the artistically rich and expensive aesthetics of the rulers. With each state producing a distinct form of textile, Rajasthan has been one of the more culturally rich states of India. One unique craft popular in the state has been Warak printed fabrics. Warak printing refers to the transfer of gold or silver leaf on textiles with the use of a binding medium. The craft consists of two prominent stages. First, of warak making, and then of printing that warak on fabric. It originated as an imitation for brocade fabrics, however, developed a niche of its own. While there is no clear evidence of the time frame of the origin of this craft, museum objects date back to the Mughal era. Evidences of warak printed textiles include ceremonial ornamentation such as pichwai, furnishings, as well as components of male and female costumes. With the loss of royal patronage, warak printed textiles soon became a languishing craft of India and thus increased the need to document the craft. This brings us to Jaipur, to the Panigar community who have been warak makers for generations. Warak making begins with melting of the metal. To heat the metal, utensils locally known as moose are used, described as a mortar. The utensil is made from black sand belonging to Kerala, which holds unique properties to withstand the heating process. Once the utensil of required size has been filled with the metal, it is placed in a bhatti, whereby the utensil is placed in a pit and surrounded by coal for lighting the fire. While the metal is being heated, the iron mold, in which the metal would be poured, too are placed on the burning fire to heat them. The iron mold is a rectangular iron bar with a ridge in the center. The heating of the rod is done so that when the hot melted metal comes in contact with the iron mold, the variation in temperature does not result in the metal jumping out of the mold as a result of an extremely high temperature difference. The iron mold is taken off from the fire and placed on a platform. Before the metal is poured into these rods, they are lined with oil to prevent the metal from sticking to the molds. Once the metal has completely melted, baking soda is added to the metal and heated for a few more minutes. This aids in removing any impurities that may be present in the metal by bringing it to the surface. The metal is then poured into the oiled molds and allowed to cool down. Once the metal has sufficiently solidified, the metal rods are dipped in water for rapid cooling. This metal rod is commonly referred to as a patti. The patti formed is seen to have a black layer on the surface, a result of the addition of baking soda, which aided in bringing the impurities to the surface. Once the patti has cooled enough to be handled by hand, it is beaten first by hand repeatedly on the floor and then by a hammer to remove the impurities collected on the surface. After beating, the patti is once again washed and ready for further processing. Once the patti has been prepared, it is passed through a machine whereby the metal is stretched and formed into a thin metal strip. The width of the strip produced is around 1.5 centimeters. The thickness of the strip depends upon the end use of Warak. Once the strip is prepared, it is cut into small pieces of approximately 3.5 by 1.5 centimeters. The small pieces of silver are stacked in a book-like structure containing numerous sheets of German butter paper. Individual silver pieces are placed between this stack of papers, varying from 80 to 150 silver pieces per book, and the book is inserted into a leather cover made from sheep skin. The leather pouch is continuously beaten for approximately 3 hours to flatten the silver pieces, forming a thin leaf or Warak. The metal leaf is now transferred onto sheets of paper ready to be sold. From Jaipur, we now travel to Udaipur, one of the more popular centers of the yesteryears for the printing of Warak onto the fabric. One of the artisans, Kuldeep Jingar, and his sister, Dr. Suman Trivedi, whose family has been practicing the art for centuries, give an insight into the process at their manufacturing place, Elegant Mewar. The fabric for Warak printing is laid on the printing table without pinning. The print paste made of local sand and natural gum is prepared. This print paste is block printed onto the textile. Once a single row of pattern has been printed, using a stuffed cotton pad, the Warak is lifted from the leaves and dabbed onto the printed paste. Continuous dabbing fixes the Warak onto the printed paste. The remaining Warak is then lifted using the same cotton pad and dabbed into the next printed motif. Once the complete fabric has been printed, any form of vegetable-based oil is slightly dabbed onto an agate stone, and this stone is used to burnish the Warak. This burnishing smoothens the texture of Warak and makes the print more reflective, producing some marvelous works of art.